We're filming.
What?
We're filming.
Oh, we're rolling?
Yep, we're rolling.
Most people think that any old earplugs are gonna do it when they're out at the range, but guys, the wrong choice could leave you with irreversible hearing loss, and you only get one shot at protecting your hearing. Look, I've been shooting for 20 years, both professionally and as a hobbyist, and I've tested just about every single type of hearing protection that exists out there today. I'm gonna break down everything that you need to know to keep your hearing safe while you're out at the range shooting. Let's get into it. Let's get real. If you're not wearing hearing protection every time you shoot, you are rolling the dice with your ears. A single gunshot can hit 140 decibels, which is loud enough to cause instant, permanent hearing damage to your ears. Think constant ringing in your ears from tinnitus, or muffled conversations, or imagine missing your kid's voice forever. Why does this happen? Decibels measure sound intensity, and anything above 85 decibels over time, or 120 decibels in a split second, starts killing the tiny hair cells in your ears. They don't grow back, period. That's it, game over, your ears are toast. A 9mm pistol clocks in at 162 decibels, and even a Ruger 1022 can hit 140. Without protection, your hearing is toast. Not all gear is equal. This brings us to the noise reduction rating, or NRR. NRR is a number on every hearing protection package, like 25 or 33, telling you how much noise it can block in decibels. Higher is better here, but there's the catch. You need to understand that the number you see isn't what you get in reduction of decibels. Now, to figure out the real noise reduction, use simple math. You're gonna take the NRR and subtract 7, then divide by 2. For example, foam earplugs with an NRR of 33 is gonna be 33 minus 7 for 26, and then you're gonna divide that by 2 for 13 decibels. At 13 decibels, a 140 decibel gunshot drops to 127, which is still pretty loud, but it's way safer. This formula is backed by OSHA and accounts for real-world fit issues. Pro tip, guys, always insert your earplugs properly or you're gonna lose the hearing protection. First, let's explore the best gear to get the NRR working for you. Let's talk about the 4 main types of hearing protection. Every shooter needs to know about these. Each is gonna have its strengths. So let's find out what's gonna fit for your range bag. First up, we got foamies. Guys, these are the classic, they're the go-to. They're soft foam earplugs like the tube I have sitting here on the table. I got these from Cabela's for like $8. If you buy them in bulk, they're usually under 20 cents a pair, and I always keep a set in my range bag, and you should too, because more than likely you're gonna run into someone who hasn't seen this video and they're not gonna have hearing protection out in the range, and having a tube of these is gonna be better than having them plug their ears with their fingers. Now with these, you get a ton of value because these usually have an NRR between 30 and 33, 32 in the case of these, and at 20 cents, you really can't beat the value there. But here's the deal, you've gotta use them right. Roll the plug between your fingers into a tight tube, and then pull your ear up and back to open the canal and insert them deep. You're gonna hold them there for 30 seconds while they expand. If you mess this up, you're not gonna get the full protection that these offer, so make sure that you're doing it right. Keep them clean and toss them after use so you can avoid ear infections, but these things are great. They're cheap, they're discreet, and they're great for any shooting range, but they muffle everything. So you might miss some range calls, which is why a lot of people have gone to the next set of hearing protection we're gonna talk about, which is electronic hearing protection. Now there's 2 types of electronic hearing protection. You have in-ears and then you have over-the-ears. First, we're gonna talk about the in-ears, which I don't have an example of here because I don't own a pair, but these are relatively new to the market. They've been picking up a lot of steam and popularity over the last decade or so, and brands like 3M, Peltor, TEP200, or Surefire Sonic are gonna offer options that are within the 24 to 31 dB range. They use tiny microphones to amplify the safe sounds, like your buddy George telling you about the deer that he got at 1.2 miles last season. And they also cut the gunshots that are above 82 decibels, similar to your more popular electronic earmuffs. Many of these, like the decibels, are also going to be custom molded to increase the comfort over time. All you have to do for that is heat the material, shape it to your ear, and get a perfect fit. But you pay for this, between $50 and $200 for a set on average. But to some people that just hate wearing earmuffs, it's absolutely worth the extra money for comfort and consistency. These are ideal for hunters or anyone that hates wearing headsets. But one thing you have to keep in mind is the batteries do need occasional swapping, and they're usually a non-standard battery that takes some extra work to get your hands on. So keep that in mind if you do go that route, and make sure you keep some of those little tiny batteries in your range bag for when they do inevitably die on you. Then we've got over-the-ear headsets, or OTE headsets. These are your Howard Lights, your Walkers, your Sordens. A lot of these headsets have an NRR between 21 to 30, and they're electronic for amplifying voices up to 18 dB while blocking out loud blasts. Another bonus to these is most of them are gonna run on AAA batteries and they're gonna have a 100 to 400 hour lifespan, or one trip to the range where you forget to turn them off and put them in your range bag and go home and they'd stay on for 4 days, and then you get back to the range and you absolutely cannot get them to work and no one has AAA batteries. And prices for these range between $40 and $60 for the budget models like your Peltor Sports or your Walkers, and $200 for the premium ones like the Sordens that are gonna come with gel inserts to maximize comfort. If you've got low-hanging ears, they can bump your rifle stock when you're wearing them, messing with your cheek weld. So keep that in mind if you're buying a new set of these, and just make sure you adjust them to get a proper fit if you're having issues. And if you don't already know what set works best for you, be prepared to try a few sets on before you find the one that works right for you. Finally, and last but not least, we got communication headsets. These are a high-end choice and they offer the most professional look. Think your Peltor Comtacs, your Safariland Liberators, or your Auto Noise Barriers. These have an NRR between 23 and 26, and they're built for two-way radio communications, ideal for team shooting or training. They're gonna cost between $300 and $1,200 depending on which defense contractor put their name on the outside, but they also use AAA or rechargeable batteries, and they amplify safe sounds, just like the cheaper OTEs. Many also have ingress protection ratings like IP55 for dust and water resistance, which is great for improving the durability of the headset in austere shooting conditions, but that might not be something you need to worry about. Now, even if you're not military or law enforcement, these might be worth the investment for you, especially if you're doing group hunts. Most of these headsets can link directly into the cheaper Baofeng radio systems, and it'll allow you to talk over distances with your hunting buddies. And if you've ever found yourself acting as a range safety officer in a larger group, they're a huge help in keeping everyone on the same page across the firing line, and that's actually the exact reason why I have a set. So you've got your foamies, your in-ears, and your headsets, but sometimes one layer of protection isn't gonna be enough. This is when you need to double up and wear earplugs and earmuffs at the same times. It's likely gonna be something that you need to do, especially if you're at an indoor range. Guys, no joke, I've got 90% hearing loss in my left ear and 60% in my right ear. I struggle with daily communications harder than most people I know, and my favorite responses to questions are, what? And say again. I take this subject serious, and I hope you guys will too, because I don't want your hobby to physically damage your ears, and we're still not allowed to walk into the local gun shop and leave with a suppressor yet, so this is our best first line of defense. Doubling up your hearing protection is like adding an extra shield against the noise, blocking both the air and bone vibrations from gunshots. A 140 decibel AR-15 blast drops to a much safer level with 2 sets of hearing protection, getting you down to around 100 decibels. If you're shooting for a prolonged period of time indoors or with super high caliber rounds, doubling up is the best way to keep your ears safe, and I promise you that it's gonna be worth it. The math is simple. If you pair foam plugs with say an NRR of 33 and muffs with 25, you're gonna get around 38 decibels of reduction, which is way more than either alone. That's critical for keeping sound levels safe and damage to your eardrums at a minimum. So when should you actually consider doubling up? First, at indoor ranges. Echoes indoors make every shot substantially louder because there's less space for the noise to dissipate. Second, with larger and louder calibers like 308 or 50 BMG, you're gonna wanna do it then too, because you're talking about decibels in excess of 150. Third, think about your long range sessions. And guys, I know you hate to hear this, but hours of shooting add up really, really fast and damage your ears. And then last, if you're bringing kids or you have sensitive ears yourself, it's a no-brainer to double up every single time. Especially with kids. You get them running good hearing protection hygiene right out of the gate, and make it cool to keep their ears safe. Your 14-year-old is gonna thank you when they're 40 with pristine hearing because you had a little bit of foresight and taught them to use your hearing protection. You don't need to double up every time. Outdoor pistol and rifle practice with good plugs for a few magazines is probably fine with just a set of foamies. But for max safety, it's a smart move. Your hearing is worth protecting, and now you know how. From foamies to comm headsets, and even doubling up for your indoor sessions. The right gear can save your ears for good. Now here's your takeaway from all of this. Always pack foam plugs and a set of muffs with extra batteries in your range bag. Nothing is worse than dead batteries leaving you shouting what mid-range session. Trust me, I've been there. If you want to know what else belongs in your range bag, check out this video.